I don't have the sunniest worldview of all time. It's very difficult for me to think about the world as a good place filled with good people. In fact, it's very common to hear me saying things like, the world is shit. Oh, a nice thing happened? Here's 12 bad things. Cool sneakers, I bet the children who make them love them too. Government! So yeah, I'm not the most stoked man alive, and I have evidence for being the way that I am. But I try really hard to retain a sense of optimism, a sense of positivity. One of my heroes, Oliver Sacks, helps me do just that, and I'm going to share with you why. Dr. Oliver Sacks was born in 1933 to two doctors in London. He had a lifelong adoration for research and scientific exploration, though by his own admission, he was a terrible researcher. He trained as a neurologist and settled in as a clinician in the United States, where he applied for citizenship and lived out most of his life. In his fantastic autobiography, On the Move, he describes himself as clumsy and not attentive enough to the details of research. At one point telling a story about how he accidentally got hamburger crumbs in the slides of myelin sheaths that he was working with. His approach to medicine mirrored his life, and it's one of the things that make him particularly inspiring to me. But I'll come back to that in a minute. He harbored a lifelong passion for writing and filled thousands of notebooks with notes and thoughts as he moved through his career. His work focused on patients that he worked with, as well as explorations about the nature of proprioception, which is essentially how we sense our bodies and how they move and how the parts of them interact with and talk to one another. Also, he loved motorcycles and was a very strong man in his younger days, breaking the squat record for California at the time, doing something like 600 pounds. If I'm jumping around a bit, it's because On the Move does too. And it's hard to figure out a point to start in the life of such a unique and singular person. Sacks lived out his life as a gay man, and this will be a point that will allow me to transition into why I admire him so much. When he opened up to his parents about being gay, his mother called him an abomination. And this is where this man becomes a hero in my eyes. In On the Move, he acknowledges the pain this made him feel, but he humanizes his mother at the same time. He says it's likely she was frightened, knowing the practice of chemical castration for men in England at the time, and that she didn't want her son to come to harm. That doesn't make what she did right by any means, but it helps us understand her. And this is part of his larger project. Sacks's curiosity impelled him to understand the whole person and each person he was addressing. This book is filled with loving descriptions of everyone who is meaningful to him, be they loved ones, patients, or colleagues. And that's where the book truly shines, and what makes Sacks a remarkable man. Whether he was understanding how the content of his patients' lives informed the neurological diseases they possessed, or humanizing his schizophrenic brother, he never placed a damper on his great sympathy, the desire to find understanding and common humanity with others. Memorably, there's a story in the book where he's almost run off the road on his motorcycle by asshole kids in a car, and he chases them down. He catches them and advances on them yelling and waving a monopod. But the minute he sees the fear on their faces and realizes their actions, no matter how stupid, were a product of something entirely different from what he was feeling in that moment. Sacks employed his considerable mind and sympathy to helping people live better lives, to learn, and live their lives with their own particularities and uniqueness. He struggled with drugs when he was a younger man, and rather than making him angry, it only made him more open, more caring. His questing mind did not fear the unknown, but wanted to explore it. He continued writing up until the moment of his death. In one memorable piece, My Own Life, he says something wonderful, which I have to share with you here. I have been increasingly conscious for the last 10 years or so of deaths among my contemporaries. My generation is on the way out, and each death I have felt is an abruption, a tearing away of part of myself. There will be no one like us when we are gone, but then there is no one like anyone else, ever. When people die, they cannot be replaced. They leave holes that cannot be filled, for it is the fate, the genetic and neural fate of every human being to be a unique individual, to find his own path, to live his own life, to die his own death. I love superheroes, heroes of great strength and intellect, and the teenager in me loves to engage in these fantasies. But our world needs more heroes like Oliver Sacks. Heroes who aren't strong and aren't the smartest in the room. Heroes who make it their mission to heal, to see the common humanity in others, to be unflinching in their pursuit of making other people's lives better. We need helpers and healers, far more than we need strong men. I'll see you next time.